today on the Tim Marner podcast show, I've got Wesley Simpson, photographer. Yeah?
Yeah.
How did we get in touch with each other? What happened?
Law of attraction in action.
In
100%. I'd seen a couple of your posts and some of them you just carry on scrolling. Then I seen one where you'd done a deep dive on maybe a child within practice, and I think the honest and the vulnerability connected with me on a number of levels. Sent you a message, and in my own journey I'd been putting on kind of it out there on vision boards or whatever that I was going to do a number of podcasts this year, well a couple of years ago, and just none of them were the right fit, and wasn't even really aware or into your podcast, and we connected on that post, and the second or third message you were like, do you want to come on my podcast? And that's how it works, isn't it?
That's exactly how it
and works. I got even now goosebumps. It's like, wow, isn't that good? So yeah, that's how we.
It's a beautiful thing, the universe, mate, isn't it? As soon as you messaged me and I read your message, I thought I already knew you were coming on my podcast. I just knew, I could tell by your tone, the frequency, the what's it. I thought I need to get Wes on. I have got absolutely, listen, I've no clue about who you are. Well, so I want you to tell me about you.
Okay.
And I know you're a photographer.
Yep.
How did that start?
I haven't got an ego, right? So a lot of people around me go, I've got some incredible stories just, from, and I'm in a position now where what do we do with all this? Not my stories, it's the experience of. So yeah, so I'll just start with my origin story, and yeah, because I think it's good that we don't know each other, because then it's maybe quite therapeutic for me to tell that journey and see. I do believe I'm here today for the next thing that I'm going to be doing. What that is, I don't know. I think it's a mix of things. And
did you just think you need more from life, more from what you're doing, more from like what's my purpose? What
Kind of, yeah. Like everybody gets a bit lost, and I think we get to them mountains or whatever them mountains are for you, your personal mountains, and we all think that we're going to get to Nirvana and be happy and sit on a beach in our silk robes, getting fed wine comes from a beautiful lady or whatever. It's like when you go on holiday, you go for 2 weeks, but 10 weeks is the perfect time. Not 2 weeks, 2 weeks, but 10 days is the perfect time, because when you go for 2 weeks, after like the 10th, you're like, I need to start doing something with myself.
Not everybody's like that though. I think people like me and you are like that. I think other people.
Do you think?
I think so. I think there's. I don't know if there's always been a calling. There's always been an itch. There's always something at me like, Tim, you're not doing the thing. So
yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest with you, mate. The last time I went on holiday was 10 years ago.
Right.
I can't remember. I've had maybe a day off here and there, just because of that. Because I'm like, this is your holiday, isn't it? Actually, on the way here, I said to somebody about. I had them butterflies of coming here, so it was like I've always been spiritual, but I've been kind of looking at religion and stuff and keep seeing signs to pay attention to the signs, and that gut feeling. What is that God? Is it the universe? Your heart in your head, but then there's that gut feeling sometimes where you just know sometimes you'll be going on a date with somebody when you were young, and you just like knew before you left the house this isn't going to work, and then sometimes you just have that. You're putting your best shirt because you know that something's magical is happening. Start then. What was that cathartic moment where you thought to yourself? Was it through darkness where you thought, I need to?
So I'll just start a bit. So the beginning is it's not a poor me story, but come from Skem, which is an overthrow from Liverpool, industrial kind of town, and the options were kind of success were become a drug dealer, be good at sports, work in a local factory. None of my family had gone to uni. I was the first one to go to uni, but that come from career advising in schools. The only subject I was good at was art, or them arty subjects. I'm self-diagnosed with dyslexic. I think I'm from an age where it maybe wasn't diagnosed in school. So I was never going to excel at them academic English and maths subjects. She told me to drop art, and I remember saying to mum, was like, well, she's the professional, that's what I'm telling you to do. And I was like, And I remember it's like you swim against, it's easier to swim with the tide than against the tide. I said, well, I'm not going to achieve anything if I drop the subject I'm passionate about or have a chance of being good at. So that was kind of the first thing of going with that gut instinct of following that passion from the early age. And then when I went to like college and university, of getting into music and bands and seeing like the Verve or Oasis, and they looked and sounded like me, and they were following their passions and singing about what they knew. They weren't having to be drug dealers or footballers or whatever. There was a different, and I think it come from that. So whenever I'm my background, well, really in a nutshell, I'm a TV cameraman turned photographer. I've photographed high-end clients and multinationals worldwide, 2 decades of experience. So it's always kind of, it's possible. Just follow your strengths. Do what you're good at.
Are you mindful of not saying any celebrities' names then?
No, I'll probably drop a few clangers just by default. I've got some really good clanger stories from some celebrities that you may admire, some that you think maybe not. But yeah, I've got some good celebrity stories. So did that, excelled in uni, found my feet doing like a media-based degree, photography, marketing. And then I went and worked on, I wanted to travel. I knew I'd always liked, leaving house and putting a backpack on and get going. Worked on cruise ships in America, which was a way of travelling, but I couldn't afford to travel, and starting my career. I was the guy when you go to Mexico on a cruise ship and you put a sombrero in your head and take a video and try and sell it you. So that was good, and I think maybe the law of attraction stuff's always been, Americans get a bit of stick from us Brits of like the corniness and that, but that, just have a nice day. The boomerang effect of what a simple but nice thing to say to someone, have a nice day. I think, I've got a saying about Hansel and Gretel, breadcrumbs. I think we've all got the impact of being able to touch people's lives, whether we know it or not, in a small way. Open a door, smile at people. That person might be having a bad day or be lonely, and you smile at them. And I just think that, have a nice day. And that stayed with me, that working in America for them, for that time, and customer service. And the story of that is, I was skint at the time, I'd been a previous student. I went, only thing I had was a Vauxhall Cavalier. I had enough for me the one-way ticket to the States was $8.50, and I had 900 quid. So I landed in the States with $50, basically. My mum had to sell my Cavalier while I was there to make sure I could get home. And that, what, if you want to take the island, burn your boats, that was my burn the boats moment of, just let's do it, like. Well, it's got to work. I've got a job when I get there, just to make sure that I do the job well. And that breadcrumbs, I think you meet people. So from then, that breadcrumbs of having integrity and being just an honest guy, and I think that's maybe I connected with your thing of your video, just being honest and being yourself and being true. There's a lot of copycats. The world doesn't need another Beyonce. Beyonce's already being Beyonce. Be the best you. Swim with the tide. Maybe it's always been there. So, come home from cruise ships and knew I wanted to work in the TV industry. Didn't know how. But I thought I was special because I'd got a degree, first person in my family, and I'd travelled, and quickly realised that I wasn't that special. 50,000 people had just graduated the same degree. So I ended up sending, I've got in my mum's still in the loft, there's a file with like 1,000 spec letters, and you get a bit disheartened. And then I thought, right, I need something bigger on my CV, so I got a clapper-loader apprenticeship with the BBC, which is quite a low-paying job. It's on the bottom ring of the ladder, but as a clapper-loader, when it's on film, you're developing the day's film, and I never understood why that was. If you not exposed that film, the whole day's film goes down the. Why is that left to the lowest paid person? I don't know. But yeah, got BBC on my CV. At that time, it was strange. Some of my naughty friends had started, earning money by being dodgy and having flash lifestyles. My uni mates were becoming reps and driving around in new Mondeos, and I'm on 10 quid a day. But I knew I've got BBC now on my CV. I've got something to maybe hang my hat on rather than just a degree. So the learning curve from sending all them spec letters out was understanding you've got to get past the gatekeeper. So I was like, okay, what's locally that I can work on? And Brookside was still going. I'm showing my age probably, but Brookside was on, and it was like, 30 minutes from where I lived. I was like, right, if I could get continuous work on Brookside, not just maybe freelance, or it'd be somewhere to... So I was like, how do you get past the gatekeeper? So I just watched Brookside to see who's the head of the camera department. And this is such a cheesy story. I wrote a personal handwritten letter to the head of the camera department and sellotaped a tea bag and said, I just need 5 minutes of your time, it won't even cost you a cup, I'll provide the tea.
Yeah, brilliant, man.
Cheesy, but it got his attention, and he said, and he went down, showed me around the set, and when I was leaving, he said, send your CV tomorrow and put on it that I've said send me CV in. I was like, I'm not going to swear, I'm not bloody leaving this without going to the HR department. So I knew I had the CV with me in the car. When I knocked on the HR department, I said, Gary said, bring my CV in. 2 days later, I was freelancing on Brookside. Brookside was getting axed, so it meant I kind of went up the ladder. When people weren't turning in, it was like, we've got to get another freelancer and you'll have to do the film and over it. And then, went freelance, worked on Hollyoaks, Shameless, a lot of TV stuff, a couple of feature films, 51st State with Samuel L. Jackson, Alfie, Jude Law, Danny Boyle's Millions.
What a story, mate.
Yeah. And then, twist of fate, I was wanting to work in... I ended up working with Russell Watson, the opera singer.
Yeah.
So, at the height of his career, at the height of it, like he's still touring now. His album was #1 in America and #1 in the UK. He's still the biggest. He's the biggest selling classical artist. And when I worked for him, he was like he was #1 in both sides of the Atlantic. He's still, I think he owns the record for the longest #1 of 8. They have like different charts, don't they? Of a chart, he was in the classical chart for 52 weeks, and I think he knocked himself off the chart with the release of his second record. So I was worked for him for a number of years as an assistant. Some incredible stories with him. My second and third gig with him was the Laureus World Sports Awards, like the Oscars of the sports world. He was singing there, and it's relevant to photography because he was singing at that show. The show was hosted by Morgan Freeman. He was the host, but Russell was getting introduced on stage by Sean Connery. So he goes on the stage and the curtains are there. I'm stood next to Morgan Freeman waiting to go back on the stage, and then Sean Connery comes off and can't go off the stage because the curtains, and I'm stood between arguably the two most famous. Morgan Freeman plays God, doesn't he? His voice of God in a few films, and I'm like, my mates and me booze, like my booze on the counter says, I'm going to believe I'm stood next to these two. So I was like, we need to start documenting this, taking pictures. So it was really for me to show my pals, but I was like, Russell, you need to, if you do a book or whatever, you need to document this. And I think at the time when I met Russell, he had a lot of yes people around him, and I think he enjoyed the fact that I was just me, kind of loving, like when we went to that World Sports Awards, we flew in on a helicopter and I was like, can I take pictures? And he was like, I'm glad you did, because I was grounding him in some ways. And going back to the breadcrumbs, because I was integrity and done an honest job. Fast forward 15 years later, I ended up photographing his wedding, and it was in Hello magazine, and it was the top 50 celebrity weddings of the decade.
Because of that trust you built with him. That
trust you built with him, even though it was a different career. And I went and got interviewed for his wedding, and they said we could have the Hello photographer or this other guy. And I was like, who's the other guy? So I went and Googled him, and on his website there was, I don't know, Mick Jagger and Elton John and people. I was like, I'm never going to get that gig. And a week before the wedding, his wife phoned me and said he's still up for coming to Marbella for the wedding. And I was like, yeah. And I was like, how come me? She went, there was a picture in your portfolio type of thing of a groom crying, the emotion. And she went, that celebrity wouldn't have caught that emotion. She went, I want to feel like that, like when my dad sees me. And one of my favourite pictures from there, well, their favourite we did obviously the Hello stuff, you know, the posed, manufactured things. But one of their favourite pictures and my favourite pictures was we'd done the setup stuff, and I was putting my bag away. We moved to the next location, and I turned and Russell's hugging his wife Louise, and I, with like a paparazzi style lens, took that, and you can't even see Louise's face, but you can feel the emotion. And when they seen that picture, he was like, "That's why we booked you." And he said, I didn't want my wedding to be a photo shoot. I wanted it to be, even though they showed the pictures, the hello. So yeah, just that integrity. There is a common theme: integrity, doing a good job, being yourself. That's why we connected. Yeah. So we're from
you're
then.
The Russell then, so you're with Russell, Morgan Freeman, and
well, I worked for Russell, but obviously just had access to. I was in a privileged position to experience that. So I was living a celebrity lifestyle, but I wasn't on a celebrity wage. I remember I had a red Vauxhall Vectra, but it was pink because it used to fade in the sun. And I was travelling first class last week, and I'm in a Vauxhall Vectra. So that job came to an end, and then I don't know if you know his story. He went and he had a brain tumour and stuff, but he's recovered from that. He just wrote a book about that. It's come out last week. But I stopped working for him, and I didn't know, I was lost, didn't know what I was going to do. And I remember I didn't want to go back into TV because that 100% passion to work in that industry had kind of subsided a bit. And I thought, I just need to go, after a few months just being on this literally on a dole or something, thought I need to do, what am I going to do here? And I was invited to, first time ever, 3 weddings that summer, 2 weddings. And my cousin was the first one, and he was like, we take some pictures at our wedding. And I was like, I work with celebrities, and I looked at weddings as like the arse end of the industry in some ways. And he was like, I wish we would. Like the photographer, me missus wants is like $2,000. I was like, what, for wedding pictures? So I ended up taking pictures at that wedding, but not as their official photographer, kind of Uncle Bob. But after the wedding, she phoned me and said, I want to come round and talk about these pictures. And I was like, I've ruined the wedding or something, they're not happy. And I went round, and even, I'll know I'm going to get goosebumps now saying it, she went, we like your pictures more than the professional photographer. She went, there's this, you captured us. And I knew what she meant. She went, there's this picture. And remember when everyone was getting canvases on the wall? She went, we've got it made on a canvas. She went, and in that picture, she went, he always winds me up. And I know he said something a bit rude or dirty to make me laugh. And you can see it in the picture. She went, that's us, that's our wedding day, that one picture. And then my cousin, who's an entrepreneurial type guy, was like, look how good that made you. He said, you lit up when she said that. And he went, imagine getting paid for that. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing with life at the minute anyway. So I was like, how do you become a... And at the time, everyone was like, that's a backward step. You do wedding photography and then try and get into doing, commercial, TV stuff. Why would you want to not work in the TV world? And the TV stuff, I went into it thinking it was a creative industry, but you're part of a machine. You've got to film Hollyoaks or EastEnders or whatever, like that looks. You're just a cog in that world. You don't really have that much creative...
Button pusher.
Yeah, you don't really have much creative output. So I was like, I felt quite creative at the weddings, but the learning curve from that was, I remember photographing that day and piggybacking on the back of the photographer's shoulder, which is not really cool. And I remember after thinking, wasn't really like me. I remember, like it was yesterday, sitting off for a minute because the pressure wasn't on me to capture everything, having a rum and coke or whatever. And I could see the photographer manufacturing the pictures, and there was wet willies and stuff going in people's ears and fun and jokes going on behind it. I was like, the real story's going on behind the photographer's back. So I just started photographing in a documentary style. And that's how TV's filmed, is if the camera's not there, like a fly on the wall. And that was my strength. And the next wedding I photographed as a favour, and people just... Obviously the documentary stuff in that game is quite popular now, but it was still... I was probably one of the first...
Really doing it,
No one was really doing it to that extent. But what the caveat to that was, I thought, I need to... If I'm going to do this as a career... So I'll backtrack slightly. So I was like, I'm going to do this, but I had no gear, I had a camera. So I said to my mum, do you think you can get some camera gear and credit? Somehow convinced, my mum just 100% believed in it. It was like, well, haven't photographed a wedding, what are you doing? So she signed up for the camera gear, had 12 months from Jessops in town.
What camera did you buy?
It was a Canon 40D, yeah, 20D, probably a 20D, and then went to a 40D and then a 5D. So yeah, she signed up for 12 months, and I was like, well, I've got to pay this back. I paid it off in 6. And because I'd done bits of marketing and stuff, and being around Russell and seeing, so I worked with him on the promotion of 2 platinum selling albums on a world tour, so we kind of picked up bits of marketing and branding. His manager in the States was Danny O'Donovan, he was Frank Sinatra's manager. So just kind of being around, like you kind of subconsciously, I went and marketing, but you pick up bits and stuff. So I was like, right, I can capitalise on being a Hollyoaks, but we're talking 20 years ago, so Hollyoaks was still, you know, it was popular or whatever. And
everyone's going to say, oh, I've got the Hollyoaks cameraman filming my wedding.
That's what it was, yeah. So I was drinking in them bars, I was in them bars anyway, thinking I was a bit of a smoozer, hanging out with the Hollyoaks cast in town and stuff. So I went from zero to hero quite fast. Yeah. Like, dads were booking me to say on a golf course, we've booked our photographer and he works on Hollyoaks. So the pressure of that was, though, instead of being documentary style and going with the swimming with
the expecting something,
I was like, I need to be a fashion guy, do like fashion style images. The Beckhams that got married, Peter and Jordan. So I was like, that's my avatar. Sitting in thrones, big, you know, Range Rovers, flash drug dealer money type of weddings. So I was doing, that was my, without even really knowing, understanding avatars and stuff, was like, I know who they are, that's my customer. The problem with that customer was they were booking me for fashion images. They don't want to pose for pictures. They're too busy living champagne Charlie lifestyles and don't want to go on a photo shoot. So it was like, you're booking me for something, but... So after 2 years, I was getting quite disorientated, and the money was good, the bookings were just coming. But I'm like, I'm not, I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, you know, like there's a disbalance of something.
Just juxtaposition of...
Yeah, that's the word, yeah. So it was Christmas, and I was thinking, I might go back and have to go back to do something else. I'm not enjoying this as much as I'm stressed, like leaving the house in the morning, and I've got a picture with the dad or whatever, and then get my mum's Christmas tree out the loft. What was left of her wedding album was there. And I looked through that album, it was the first time I was like kind of a photographer, and she's always said throughout the years it rained on my wedding day, but there was no evidence of rain in the album. She's like little stories, like looking over at my granddad with brill cream hair and his hair all flat, and I was like, where are these stories? And I'm not saying the photographer should have photographed the hell out the rain, but a picture of my mum getting out the car and an umbrella I would have connected with. And I was like that. I'm doing a modern version of this. And the first person who kind of said, you've got something, said you captured us. So why am I posing people to look like they're in fancy magazines? So the next wedding, funny enough, was in Positano, big deal, going off to Positano to do a destination wedding. And I said, listen, I've got this idea of doing more documentary. Like, let's just walk down the streets of Positano and stuff. And we'll do some of the post stuff. And then them images, I didn't really have to market because I could just put the image on and talk about what was happening in that picture. The next minute people...
Stories, yeah.
Just, storytelling, natural storytelling. And then the avatar changed from... From a marketing perspective, that first customer I called the Christian Louboutin bride, Red Souls, everybody look at me. And I was like, well, who's the new? She still wants an expensive shoe, but it was the Jimmy Choo bride, a bit more understated, still, you know, high end, but understated. And just them little things of, that's who it is. And they're going to value the moments more and things. So initially, when I started that, I was doing commercial photography, worked with some high-end brands quite fast. But then bookings were only like a day or two in advance. You booked on Monday to shoot Wednesday. It was like, well, how do you pay your bills? And you know, don't know if you. So I was like, if I do weddings, at least they book 12 months in advance, and it give me more freedom and flexibility to do what I really want to do. But then the tail started wagging the dog. When it was like, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it well. So it started, the commercial stuff got left on the back burner for a bit and was becoming this, you know, luxury wedding photographer or destination photographer. But eventually I found a kind of a bit of a balance, you know, out of season doing the commercial stuff. So then, quite a success doing that. In terms of the personal development stuff, and think that was your original question. I've gone down a bit of a tangent.
It's important, mate, to know where you come from, to have that moment where you thought to yourself, right, I need to start doing something at work now. What was that sort of cathartic moment? Where were you? What point were you like? Because I feel like you've already done it all the way through.
Yeah.
But there must have been a shift to kind of go, I need to do this in a work now. It's
funny, isn't it, like doing a podcast and selling someone? It's like journaling or something, isn't it? It's like getting that out and someone asking that question for you. It's quite a little bit, hopefully, quite therapeutic for me today. I think this is weird. I'm confused because something strange happened recently about this story. But about 10 years ago, I was feeling a bit lost. I looked at different religions and thought there was maybe something missing. I looked at a few different religions, couldn't find a fit. And then I went to, it was at Bygone Times, around the corner. And there was a young, trendy fortune teller in there. I was like, I was with my mum again, just go in and see this guy. I was like, yeah, go on, it was a £5 or something. And when I was leaving, he called me back and went, whatever you do, go and buy the book, The Secret. I was like, I'm not a big reader, mate, it's not really like my thing. He was like, no. And because he was young and trendy, it wasn't Peggy Pringle Low in Blackpool. I was like, oh, well, he looks cool, like, yeah, go on. And it was just, that was what I was looking for at that time. It was like, obviously, it was religion, but a dummy's guide to kind of religion, but without saying it's God. Just call it the universe instead of God. Seeing, oh yeah, I can understand what that's about. But that had always been there anyway. So that's why I kind of connected with it, that like vision board. And I've had mad success. I used to have a box. Well, I'll tell you the story in a minute because it's just a mad story about how maybe that works or it doesn't work. But yeah, I he told me that. But the weird thing that happened just before I connected with you, I went and done this retreat day. We'd done a boot camp and we'd done some, flipping tyres and doing battle ropes and to knock you out, and then some woo-woo kind of, and I was like, I'd burnt out with all that stuff. I went down a proper rabbit hole with like Tony Robbins, and I became a Tony Robbins life coach. Thought that was my calling. So much so that when COVID happened, I know everyone does them now, these walking and talking videos, I was doing that. And then during COVID, I'd lost everything overnight. Obviously, got to give all my bookings back, didn't know what I was going to do. And someone reached out and said, do you want to do some life coaching as a support worker in old money, like a hostel type of environment? And I'd never had exposure to, crackheads and heroin addicts and alcoholics and stuff. And you think, when you give a £5 to a homeless guy, it fills you up, oh, you feel good. It's like, imagine doing that for a job. Maybe this is what I'm meant to be doing. COVID's happened for a reason. And what I got out of that was, I'd done loads of that personal development stuff and had a lot of knowledge about it. You can only help people who want to be helped. It's entrepreneurial spirit. And some people, not saying they don't want to be helped, but just they've accepted that's where they're at. And I think I had to be in that environment to understand.
Some people aren't ready.
Yeah, but so one of the, I remember one more, I don't know what she was a crackhead, and I was like, I was doing a session with her the next day, and I said, if I do your session, plan your session today, don't be on crack tomorrow. She ended up, she was on crack, and I was like, what have you been doing today? She went, I went and, I don't know how to say, but I went and sucked somebody off for a £5 this morning I was like, why, like in my head, the first question was, why a £5? Why not 50 quid? She was like, well, a crack of rocks a £5. So I was like, she just done it for what? Like, wow. Then I was like, if I'd been sucking someone off for a £5, I'd probably want to smoke some crack to forget about it. It was like, you kind of like, I get it. And then looked in a file, there was a history of abuse and rape and stuff. But what I got from that job, which I could have listened to 1,000 podcasts and read every Think and Grow Rich book under the sun, was I remember sitting there and the people who maybe were in the situation of needing support and help had trauma, something bad had happened to them. But equally, a lot of the support workers, when you get to know them, you're working on nights and stuff, had trauma and something bad had happened to them. But it was like, I wrote down on my journal in big capital, no, I put it in my phone and then wrote it in my journal the next morning and stuck it on my fridge. Pain uses you or you use pain. I'd seen it night and day. They had pain and lived in that pain, anchored themselves to that pain. The people who were support workers, when I got to know them, had rape, trauma, something bad happened to them, and it was like, how do I better myself now and maybe go and help other people, and it was like just seeing it was like wow. And I remember like it was like, you know, like the Matrix, you know, when everything goes in slow and you go, I get it. And I was probably feeling sorry for myself at that time as well. I'd lost my business and was doing a support work job that I didn't really want to be doing. And I was
Lots to be said about that, mate. And you know, people listen to a lot of podcasts, reading a lot of books, but you've got to be in it, man.
Well, the law of attraction stuff, they don't tell you that bit, do they?
No.
They say put you on your vision board. They don't say they're doing.
Yeah.
The doing part,
which is where you learn the most, really, because it's not the experience of logically. I think logically, when you hear podcasts and you read books, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But when you're going to feel it from your heart, those two fucking things aren't aligning. Because you're going in, you're sitting next to a girl who just sucks someone off for a five to get crack.
Yeah.
How does that feel in your body?
Yeah.
And you're like,
yeah,
that is a total different.
And also, it was like, what am I feeling sorry for myself about? You know, like insignificant. You know, I know everyone's got different levels of pain and trauma, but it was like, yeah, fucking hell. And yeah, it's so you've got to take massive action, haven't you? Use that and get up. And you know what it is? It's the hero's journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's George and the Dragon,
King Arthur.
slaying the dragon. Everyone. That's what the best story. You know, if you go to cinema, what makes a good film or a book? That if you went and seen a film at the weekend, the ones that you're saying, you've got to go and see that, mate. It's usually the hero's, whatever it is, the hero's journey.
Yeah, my Star Wars, yeah, Luke Skywalker,
Rocky,
mate, yeah,
Rocky,
yeah.
You get up, you got knocked down, get back up, and that, you know. Because, you know, if you went to watch, you know what's mad, I come up with some mad shit, mate. But if you went and watched the film and it started off, you know, he had a good silver spoon, married his first love, had a great job, and that, you wouldn't go and watch that film. But the George and the Dragon story, the king, you know, slaying the dragon, that's what you want to. So, yeah, you know, Tony Robbins says, doesn't he, that your worst day can be your best day, depending on how you look at it.
How do you become a Tony Robbins?
So from The Secret and stuff, I had massive success with some of that visualisation things.
Like what? Give me some examples.
Some of it, right, is mad that I can't even. So I had a box on me on my coffee table in the living room, and I put on it what's contained in this box is, and I used to just like rip out like magazine stuff of things I wanted, and then people I wanted to photograph. So I'll use that. Right, so but sort of small things. There was just small things in there as well, like you know, like I don't know, how I wanted to look in the gym, you know, them type of things or whatever. And I think that's maybe just journaling and stuff. And for me, it is that what's always right or wrong is available, isn't it? If you look around the room now and I say look for something green plants over there, but then if I say look for something red, the logo behind you, then the green disappears, isn't it? So whatever you want to. Where focus goes, it's like when you're buying a new car, isn't it? You see on a new BMW, you see that BMW everywhere, don't you?
If you want a red car, you see red cars everywhere.
So I think in a way that's kind of how it works. Just by it's your reticular activating system, what's important to you. But then I've had experiences where in that box I put in some famous people. I thought I want to photograph these people. So one of the inspirators was the Verve. So that story of the Verve, they went to watch. Richard Ashcroft went to watch the Stone Roses in Warrington and thought, I can do that. And it was the same, like when I was listening to bands thinking, I think there's more than being a drug dealer or working in a factory or I'm not good at sports. I can go and do something else. So, but funny enough, I put Richard Ashcroft, one of the names I want to photograph. I put 5 people down. I put Richard Ashcroft, I put Jay-Z, I put Paul Weller. Photographed Richard Ashcroft a couple of years. I photographed him twice and possibly photographed him this week in Wigan. And no connection. It manifested. It came true. The Paul Weller one is the you know Paul the Jam. Yeah. So I put him down. When I was working with Russell in New York 15 years before, I met a girl in just a shop. I went into a shop just to buy something. And she seen I had English money, and she went, "Are you English?" And I was like, "Yeah." She went, "Oh, so am I. I've been over here, met somebody, and ended up staying illegally, type of thing." And got talking. And I said, "Oh, I'm staying." Sounds like I was staying in a Trump hotel from a council estate. I was staying in a Trump hotel. I was like, "But I need somewhere to go." She went, "There's an Irish bar. I'll take you tonight." Like she was dating a guy who lived in New York and stuff, so it wasn't like that. Just you know, I think she was a bit homesick. So I met her, and then. Seen her a few times. Well, I was in New York for like 2 months, so I've seen her a couple of times over the course of like maybe a fortnight. And then she disappeared for a few days. And then she messaged me and said, that was weird. After you, a couple of English people come in the next night. Do you remember Gail Porter?
Yeah.
I think she was Blue Peter and became the model, didn't she?
Yeah.
When she come in, she ended up being Gail Porter's nanny, right? Then the next night she went, Mark Morrison returned and Mac came in, right? Fancied a mate and said, do you want to come to this party? We went to this party and I was outside speaking to this old guy, very charismatic, and we just got on like I didn't really even go on the party. We were outside for 2 hours. She went and he said he was a singer. He said his name was Paul Weller. And I was like, what? She was like, yeah, she had a few songs out. And I was like, go to Virgin Megastore. And she went, I'm meeting him tomorrow for lunch and that. We got on. And she was only young. She was maybe early 20s. And he's like, there was a 30-year age gap, so I don't know what it was, but, And she was like, he was just very charismatic, meeting him. And I was like, go to Virgin Megastore in Times Square. And she phoned me and was like, it comes with like the jam and stuff. I was like, yeah, there all his stuff. So anyway, that was that. And I came back, stopped working with Russell and stuff, and I think we may be friends on some type of shows, but we didn't really keep in contact. Like it was just someone you meet when you're on holiday type of thing, isn't it? Fast forward 20 years later, I'm a photographer. She messages me out the blue and says, he's still in Liverpool. And I was like, well, not far. Like, yeah. She went, long story short, I'm married to Paul Weller. Do you remember that? I've now married him. She's got 3 kids, 2 twins. His twins are called JP, John Paul, and well, they're named after that. I can't remember. Yeah, John Paul and it might be Lennon or John and Paul. His kids are that because he's a Beatles fan. Yeah. She went, he's doing a gig in Chester. We're staying in a Hilton in town. Do you want to come down, catch up and that? I went down, met Paul, his guitar players, Steve Craddock from Ocean Colour Scene, who I was a massive fan of when I was at uni. And Paul was like, I'm about to go to bed, but Hannah said you're good friends and rest of it. Didn't want to go to bed and not say hi. But she said, you're a photographer? I was like, yeah. He went, do you want to come to the gig tomorrow and take some pictures? Just, mate, I'd put it in a box. There was no connection. There was a name on it who would like the photograph. Again, to handle a great breadcrumbs, but you'd leave in the past, do a good job, have integrity, be a nice person. But photograph Paul Weller. I ended up the next day after, on the way to the gig, he was like, come with us, and he was like, you sound like a Scouser, he said, and I took him to, I took a picture outside Aunt Mimi's house. He's a fan of John Lennon, massive. I took a picture of him outside John Lennon's house, and I took the picture, and I was like, and he went, what? And I went, wow, even idols have idols. Like, just...
That's nice, isn't it?
But yeah, law of attraction, I don't know how that bit worked, but that's like a story of like, But
beautiful,
then, but I've been putting it in my jail. I'm going to do some podcasts, and I was waiting. My brother said recently, I told you 2 years ago to do podcast.
Like you're saying, like that girl who's doing that at the minute, she's not ready for that advice. You weren't back then, weren't ready for them podcasts. Things come into your life at certain times, I feel. Yeah. No matter how many people tell you, if you're not ready for it, you're not ready for it.
No, that's it.
You've got to feel it, not just kind of go, I'm ready for a podcast. You've got to feel it through your body.
Yeah, and when you messaged it was right. Then I was overthinking it because I'd been like, this is it. But going back to your question of when I got into maybe all that, I just kind of found my way with that, and then I went down a rabbit hole at certain times of so much. I went to like Tony Robbins is, don't you? Went to his big live events and walked on fire and done all
How much
that.
Is something like that?
It does it on how close you want to be. So it's the VIP, you know what I mean? So closer you are to the stage, the more it goes up.
Wow.
I think I paid for me and my girlfriend at the time, but it was like maybe 800 quid each, 900 quid each. And I remember when some of my pals were going, oh, you could go to a week in Benidorm or whatever for that. But generally, if you're going for just the life experience, whatever, but the event itself was a good event. It was 4 days. That was a good event. And I still use some of them techniques from, I know there's a few piggybacky ones, you've got to be, but he's the top of the food chain, isn't he, one? Yeah. So, and some of it is, NLP techniques and all the rest of it, and what you get out of it. But I still use some of them techniques this day. So for that 800 quid, that was 2017. I still use some of them techniques, and then off the back of it, I've done a couple of his courses because I thought I want to do this for a living. But I think it's not life coaching. I think maybe it's more business and branding. There's something in that when you're lost, people it's what lights you up naturally. What you find yourself talking about, isn't it? That's the only thing I can say.
It's a bit scary though for people who are lost that are young. They kind of tend to go to something that's not necessarily good for them. So this is. Shall I get into it?
Yeah, come on.
Right, okay. So, spirituality.
Yeah.
Okay. There's people within this space, right, that are branding themselves really well, doing a message, but they're suffering a lot of trauma themselves, but saying that they've got the answers. I've got kids that are lost, looking at these people, thinking they've got the answers, and they're going there doing something like cold water or cacao or ayahuasca, bringing trauma up. They're looking for answers, and then the aftercare after is just like kind of shocking.
Well, you know why that's 100% true? I think what you've just said, that was my story. I was preaching all this stuff.
Yeah.
I think it was just a way of journaling. I was putting videos out there, really speaking to myself. Yeah. And then the people close to you, back to my mum's biggest guidance, she believed in me buying me that camera. She was like, I think this has now become a bit toxic. You're doing all this stuff, thinking you're going to be happy. And I was being happy in the moment.
Not happiness you're looking for though, is it? That peace of mind.
No, but it was like you were listening to some advice. This is how you'd be happy. Have a nice bath and you'll be happy. And you're happy for a moment, or whatever that thing is to do.
Yeah.
And then the next day, you're the same. So then I've got to do that again. And like, then you feel a bit...
I'm just looking for hits.
Feel a bit shit that you've got to do it again. It's like not a one-off thing.
Yeah.
And then,
I knew me and you were on the same page about this.
Yeah.
I just knew it. I know that you've been through that.
Yeah. And it's someone just telling you. So what was so simple but so mad, I designed a self-help program. I thought I'm gonna go and help people. I've got a blueprint of what to do, and did it with a few people, and they were going, wow, Wes, you need to be doing that. And so it was Christmas. I was like, I'm gonna kind of try it and do Mum, like Boxing Day something it was, in between Christmas and New Year. And she was like, I don't really need that stuff. I was like, no, I just need to practice this one. One of the questions, and I do, it's like putting in your sat nav. You've got to understand where you are to where you want to go. So it was that kind of, where am I now? And I said, well, just do it to appease me, because saying it out loud sometimes helps. And it was like, who are you now? And when someone just like says something like, who do you love and care about you, but it's like you feel like, wow, that was ruthless. You didn't put the cotton gloves on. It was just like, fucking hell. She went, you're stagnant, son. I went, what? She went, you're stagnant. And I went, and that was a weird, stagnant was a weird phrase to use anyway. Like, stink a bit stagnant. I think when your drain's a bit stagnant and a bit, what do you mean? She went, the metaphor is mad. So again, Richard Ashcroft, he just had an album out, and there was nothing else. I was maybe over listening to that, maybe a bit melancholy stuff.
Yeah.
She went, you're stagnant. You need to play a different song. Well, she went, every time I get to yours or I go, we get in the car, you're always playing that bloody Richard Ashcroft. And she always only knows, like, the drugs don't work, and them, the somber songs or whatever. He's obviously got uplifting ones. And I went, she's got uplifting. She went, no, but listen to a bit of dance music or something. You just listen to that same song. But it was the metaphor of play a different record. Yeah. And at the time, when she said it, I was still poor me about a few things. COVID, I'd lost my business. I'm not a photographer anymore. And I'd come out of broke up a relationship, and it was, she went, every time I see you for 6 months, it's the same story.
Beautiful, mate. You're telling me this,
It's the same.
Because I can see people going on these spiritual retreats thinking they've cured themselves. Next thing you know, they're doing a spiritual retreat themselves.
Yeah.
And they're fucking preaching at everybody.
Yeah. And she went, play a different record, right? And it's just as simple as that. So it was January, beginning of the year. I went home. It's such a, you know what, it's what I've got up to Tony Robbins. He's like, sometimes that change comes in a moment, doesn't it? Just like you wait for it, and then it's just change comes in an instant. I went home. My Alexa's in the kitchen, but I can hear it from the bedroom. I said, Alexa, wake me up every day to a different song. Getting up, so start my morning with variety. I was stagnant. So what's the opposite of stagnant? Variety. Play a different record. Wake me up to a different song. In the morning, what's the fucking playing now? Something, a cowboy song or country and western song.
I love that, mate.
And then so I'd have to like get to the landing to say, Alexa, off. But then I'm up for the day now. Because I had to physically move. And then, going into all the stuff I learned, physiology, moving your body in a different way. And then some days I'd get to what's it playing Dolly Parton for? Where's you got that from? Making me laugh, just variety. Mate, night and day, within a week, people were going, you been on holiday or something? Just look differently. Mate, it was just play a different record.
That's beautiful, that, mate.
Yeah, but
them boring routines can fuck you right up. Doing the same thing every single morning. Get up at this time, and then I fucking do this, and I fucking do this, and I do that. It's like, I think you've got to mix it up, mate.
You have, but there's some in that the consistency of having positive routines, isn't it? That serve you well, not just that.
I know, but
on the bandwagon.
Listen, if you're starting it off and you're doing it, I do. You need to get in a routine and get in a bit of a structure, but do not let your structure own you. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You own it. It's like, sometimes I'm not go to the gym because I'm going to be kind to myself. I'm going to do that. Usually what I used to do was get to a gym at a certain time and I didn't used to beat myself up.
Yeah, I've done the same
You
thing.
keep going and keep going, doing the same thing all the time. Yeah. It's cool to get yourself on it, but I do feel you need to play a different tune, because you do get stagnant. And I think your mum's totally right, and I love that analogy, because I'm doing the same breath work. I'm doing that, and I've mixed my whole routine up in the morning.
You can't see it no more because you're just listening to the same. Just look at the same thing.
Beautiful way to put it. Stagnant. What a fucking horrible word.
Like stagnant, because it's like it stinks. It stinks like a stagnant drain when you're in Spain, or something. Like
only your mum could cut deep like that.
Mate, it was like wow. My mum's very close. It was me and my mum for 18 years. Got a younger brother, and even with the age gap, very close. And why I connected with that on that retreat thing I hadn't done any this year. I'd had my fill of it. I was like, knew it would become a bit of a crutch, but I thought I do enjoy that stuff. So what's the balance? And I was like, got invited onto one similar like this. I was like, what's the sign? Why has this guy reached out? And it was through like a guy who's made positive change, inspired, been to jail and come out and was like, I'm going to be good and open a gym and stuff. So I was like, what's he saying for me to go to this? So I was like, just stop overthinking it, just go with the sign, go and do it. We were doing one of the exercises, and she was saying, look for this is mad, I know I'm going to get goosebumps even saying this, right? She went, look for a sign, look for a shape and a colour. And I couldn't do it, and everyone was like, she went, who can't do it? There's three of us. I was like, I can't do it. Then it ended up me, I couldn't do it. She was like, the way the ones who were good, like, why can't you do it? Who you pleasing? I was like, not pleasing anyone. I think I just want to get something out of this. Like, I haven't done it for a while. She's like, and then she went, it will come. We'll go into an exercise, it will come. And my brother's become a Christian, and we've been going to a Penny Lane church in Liverpool, from the song, and it's a modern church, and the vicar wears Vans and ripped jeans and wear a gold collar, so I was more susceptible to go, and it was part of the day we'd go for some dinner and then just go to church and play modern music and stuff. So I knew my mum enjoyed going with my brother and stuff, so it was wasn't just going to church, it was part of the day out. And the preacher did a similar thing of look for some sign, close your eyes and look for, showed this story about when is God or Christianity or the universe spoke to you. And she said when she was in school the other day, a kid went, when I go to McDonald's I get chicken nuggets, and that's God speaking to me because everyone gets hamburgers and I can be different and have chicken nuggets. She went, so let us pray and just clear your mind and see what signs come to you. And I'm looking around, everyone's praying. I was like, I went to a Catholic school, I don't know how to pray. I don't know how to pray. My mum knows how to pray. I'm beating myself up. And the kid can see chicken nuggets and see it and say, I can't see a sign. The week before I'd been to Marbella, and out of nowhere I'd seen this old-fashioned sign, with like the posh shops on, but it was blank. And I was like, there's this fucking sign, but it's blank. So I'm beating. Next minute, I just felt wet on my chin. And I just felt like this calming of, stop being so hard on yourself. Just when it comes, it will come. And I had like a little moment, and like first time I'd ever had a spiritual
download
moment.
Yeah.
And then I remember thinking, my brother never seen me cry. I thought, oh, I don't want him seeing me cry. He'd just been on the day as well. That day, particular day, he'd just been christened. Put them in a big tank. He's an adult, he's 28. Put him in a tank. And I took some pictures. So maybe my mind was in a different place because I felt like I was connected or I had a purpose in the church that day or something. I don't know. I could feel him looking at me. And it was like the shaft of light coming through the windows, and he had a white shirt on. He had this big smile. And I felt him fearing, like, I don't want him to see me cry because maybe he looks up to me or whatever, or I might ruin his moment. But, you know, just this warm smile. And I was like, didn't want my mum was next to me, and I thought, don't want my mum to know that I'm crying. And she didn't know, and she just like felt the energy, and she just like linked me and put her head on me. Man, I wept like a baby. Like, and I was like, I've never cried in public. Next day I felt light as a feather. When I was at that retreat, she same thing. She was like, look for a shape and a colour. It will come. I was like, it won't come. And then that triggered, remember the baseball film with Kevin Costner in Field of Dreams? Yeah. If you build it, they will come. Yeah. And I was like, I'm thinking of that film, and then I'm thinking of the baseball pinstripe uniforms, then a baseball, white, like there's a shape, and I was like, that's not what I'm meant to be thinking now. I'm only thinking of that because she said it will come, and the quote from that film is, if you build it, it will come. And I'm like, but that's just it. The Beatles song, Mother Mary Come to Me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be, just let it be. My brother went to counselling, and after all the sessions, she went to him, it just is. Them things that happen to you, it just is. And I was like, it just is. That's what I'm seeing. That's the trigger I'm getting. Mate, I then remembered watching that film. I've always said there's a limiting belief, a limiting story. I can see that's getting into that story. But listen, this is going to blow your wig off now. I've always had a limiting belief story of I never had a male role model growing up.
Yeah, me too.
And my granddad passed away when I was 8. Who was organic. Sometimes your role model is not necessarily your dad. It can be a football coach, Carner, or your granddad, or the guy next door, or whatever it may be. And I remembered watching that baseball film with him. And then, I don't know if you remember the film, he makes the tree gets struck by lightning and he makes a baseball bat out of it. I remember my granddad shaping a cricket bat into a baseball bat and is playing baseball in a garden with a tennis ball and a base. Like in an old-fashioned, you know, the American films where they're playing baseball in the garden. I remember doing that. I was like, oh, wow. Then I can remember him showing me how to shave in the mirror. He was the type of guy who'd wear a suit on a Sunday and hand wash his car. Proper, yeah. A gentleman. You know, I smell a brie cream now is him. Yeah. And then I just remember all this, and then I was like, oh, what beautiful memories of doing all that. And then I can remember all of a sudden then, I'm getting taken. He died when he was 52, only young. Getting taken to the ambulance, and I was like, I remember someone saying, "Go and say to your granddad." And I was like, "Did I not say to?" Because I was too busy playing. Did I not say to him? And I've got some bit of child trauma or something. But then I just remember. Well, I felt nice remembering all them memories, and then what you said about overdoing it. Afterwards, the woman went, "How do you feel today about the exercise?" And I was like, "I don't know." I said, "I got up today. I was in a boss mood. We had a boot camp workout and all that." And I'd just been crying in a field thinking about playing baseball with my granddad when I was 8. What the hell's all that about? I phoned my mum on the way home and said, "Listen, don't want to upset you and that, but what's the score with this? Did I not say to her too?" And she went, "No, you've got the story right, just the order's a bit wrong." And I think you did, but the paramedics were strapping him in and that. She went, "But you were dead naughty. You were a good kid, but you were dead naughty when he passed away for a couple of weeks. And when the priest come round to do the eulogy, you were doing hand cut wheels and you knocked his tea over and stuff." And the priest said, "I've seen this before, he needs to say to her, go and take him." And she went and took him, and she didn't want it. She thought it might upset me. She walked in, kissed him, and "Hi, Grandad," and "Have a good night's sleep." And I went back to normal, good as gold. I went, wow, that's mad. So when I'd done that exercise, one of the things she was doing, the emotional mirror, one of times in your life you've not been maybe filling your potential and stuff. And I thought, my younger brother, who's 18 years difference, we're really close, even though there's an age gap, we've got different dads. And I thought, I've not been that role model that maybe he, like he had a dad, like I had my dad, But maybe like my granddad, I was his version of that, like the guy you spend more time with. I've been his role model, and maybe I've not been as successful or being that guy that I was previously. I've been stagnant, and I need to be that role. If you can't do it for you, do it for somebody else. And his dad passed away, and I didn't get on with his dad, and I thought maybe I wasn't there enough. It's been a bit of an elephant in the room in my own head that I wasn't maybe there because I didn't want to do the crocodile tears for his dad. So the next day, it opened up a conversation. I had that beautiful conversation. He was like, "No, you're right. You have been a role model, and I do look up to you. And you was there when my dad passed away. You give me a big hug, and a couple of other things happened, and that." So I was like, "Wow!" I said, "I need to go and see what this baseball film's about." So I googled that saying, "If you build it, it will come." As I was doing that, I've got an old street sign above my mirror in my living room, and it's the secret. It's the thoughts become things. And I went, "Fuck me, thoughts become things. If you build it, they will come." That's the similar message, that. And I was like, wow, is that when the fortune teller said, "Go and read it"? It was that my grand, like, here's it, if you're looking for guidance, here's, I know it's a bit woo-woo, when you read into it. And then, so I looked at the clip, and in the clip of that film, the baseball players come back to ghosts, aren't they?
Yeah.
And then it's his dad didn't fulfill his potential of becoming a baseball player. Mate, my granddad left me a camera in his will when I was 8, and I became a photographer.
Wow.
I didn't even realise it. I've still got the camera. It's like an old Olympus 10 camera. I was like, wow, what the fuck's that? Mate, I can see if I can see it in the experience.
I get it, brother. I get it.
So, yeah, that's where I'm at. Spiritual, where my heart and my soul, that deep guy. Got all this experience of celebrity stuff and all that, but I think that only becomes from being yourself and wearing your heart and soul. And I still love being a photographer, but I think there's a next step evolving. I'll always love being a photographer, but I think maybe, as you said 2 years ago.
Right, so I'll just pause that and just go to the toilet.
Okay.
Right.
How was that?
It was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know what. Fucking hell! I don't even know what bits I'm meant to be saying.
No, that's right. You just let it out. There's no rule book.
Yeah. It's weird because some of the celebrity stories go off and wow, that's a mad celebrity. And it's like, I'm not here to talk about other people's careers. So I'm glad I haven't overcooked some of them stuff.
Yeah, I get you.
A bit of name dropping. You need the name dropping to give it authority, but it's like, I don't want to over name. Yeah. It's interesting stuff. He's a heartwarming guy. I could see him. He's an emotional guy.
Yeah,
Isn't he?
you're very much on the same level.
Yeah.
Very similar, yeah.
There you go. Like attracts like.
It does.
I'm a doer, man. I don't. You said it just happens, doesn't it? Just goes out, and I'm glad I haven't spoke too much over.
You've got to. Yeah, I know.
And I find I'm not looking at you because it's deep. Like when I'm connecting with you something, but I'm aware I'm like searching for, what I mean? And I'm trying to just settle into it.
The thing with you, Wes, it's probably your worst and your best trait is that you overthink so much.
Yeah.
And you don't just feel and just come from the feeling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I told you in that message.
Yeah.
You need to stop overthinking it, brother.
It was like, wow.
Yeah. I already knew what type of person you are. Honestly, I'm in such a good frequency talking to you.
Yeah.
Like, my body's on such a nice vibration.
I think why I'm not looking at your eyes, because it's like I'm looking at me. It's like I feel like we're from the same cloth.
Yeah.
We're like kindred spirits and we've not met.
Yeah.
Are we recording or?
Yeah.
But yeah, it is, in it. That is the law. Like attracts like, in it. It is. I don't. People dish it and that, but I just whatever fills you up. But I think
what's your vision now then? What's your vision for Wes Simpson?
I just think I'm at a time where I've got, what do we do with all this stuff? It's like,
you've got to again go back.
Take it to the grave with me. It's like a ripple effect.
Yeah, but you've got to go to that blueprint that you've got now, and like anything, any people, any brand that I work with, you've got to understand what that vision is first.
Yeah.
And then you come all the way back here, and then you make baby steps towards what that vision is.
Yeah.
Photography is beautiful, mate, and stuff, but it's not going to fulfill you. It's not going to fulfill you. I think it's nice and it's possibly a side, like it's just part of Wes, but I don't feel like it's the true essence of what you should be doing.
It's fulfilled me in the past. You know, like, but...
Mate,
yeah,
we're talking fulfillment.
I still get, especially, maybe not the commercial stuff, because it's just commercial stuff. The weddings, I still get that butterfly in the morning and want to...
I know, but you're here to change people's lives with the knowledge they've got. Does photography change people's lives with the knowledge that you got?
It contributes to it if you do a good job, doesn't it?
Yeah, but it doesn't change people's lives, does it?
Wow, mate. That's powerful. Fuck,
You know that already. You just like, I always use the analogy of like, I'm talking to, I say quite a bit to me because I do love it, and it's like the school disco, and everybody turns up to the school disco and just like dances around the edge and they're just sidestepping or whatever. You've got to understand that this is your tune and you've got to get on the fucking dance floor, right? And dance like nobody's watching, like nobody cares. And stop
when the killers come on when you're in the toilet.
Stop overthinking it.
Yeah, when the killers come on when you're in the toilet, you have to run.
Whatever that is, mate. But no drink involved, nothing. Yeah. You're not dancing for anybody else but yourself. And you get on and you just don't care. And hopefully inspire other people to do the same thing. But that vision, what is that vision for Wes? It's a tough question, mate. Yeah, but it's something that you need to sit
that's
with.
Where I've been shot with it.
Build it and they will come. Yeah. What is it that we're building so in order for people to come?
You know what's coming is, the answer is to show other people it's possible.
How do you do that, Wes?
It's possible. And, you know...
What are you really good at doing?
I'm good at looking at other people's brand, personal brand, their thing, like what you've just done with me, and seeing, like, I can't... So, my wedding website, I agonise over, I can't get that message pitch right, but I can look at another photographer, talk to them for 5 minutes and go, I know who your customer is. Sometimes when you're too passionate about it, you're either too busy or too passionate to see the wood for the trees, isn't it, type of thing. And I think I've got a gift of being able to... That's why I thought it was life coaching from that point of view. But I think they cross over. When you're an entrepreneur or self-employed person, sometimes you've got a brilliant product or service, but you don't know how to... Or you're too close to it, you're not even realising you're doing the basics. You know, so many people are not doing the basics of, you think, you go to their Instagram or whatever.
Stop busy doing and start busy being, right? What you're really good at is doing documentary styles and telling a story. You've got to tell that story, the experiences that you're going through.
Yeah.
Once you start doing that, people will come and hire you to get advice and knowledge from you.
Yeah, I think there's something in that. And yeah, that's where it's
whatever that is, mate. Whatever you label it, life coach or whatever you want to be. And I know it hurts you saying the word life coach and stuff. But
no, I think it's. I don't think it's more branding and, you know, whether it's personal brand, business branding. It's so before even this was a thing where people were given.
Look, if you want to label it business coach, label it business coach.
No, but when you can connect the dots, can't you? So. Before I was putting that type of content out there, I was in Tuscany doing a wedding and probably was in the flow of, look where I am, I'm in a great place. And I thought, I'm going to share how I got to do this destination wedding. You know, it was a 50 grand wedding in Tuscany. Like, what happened? How did I make that happen? And I posted it. I wouldn't say it went viral, but it was definitely a big viewed video at the time. It was the white shirt philosophy of, and maybe this is vision boarding and stuff. I thought, I used to have to go to people's houses to pitch the kind of stuff sometimes. Like I felt like a windows car salesman. Hopefully COVID changed that because you can do it by Zoom or whatever now. And I used to go and they'd rather be invested, but he'd maybe be watching the footy or whatever, and I'd be like, well, this is, come on, I have my evening here. So I thought, that destination guy, that high-end guy, I think this is vision. What does he look like? What does he dress? How does he act? He wouldn't be wearing, a tracky top or whatever. He'd be wearing a crisp white shirt because he's, Italian. Not a suit, do you know what I mean? But, so I was like, I used to just take a crisp white shirt and hang it up in the back of the car and pull up round the corner and put on that white shirt. And it was like putting on my Superman. It was like putting on that uniform. I'm in that role and put that cap on. Mm-hmm. And maybe I'd conduct myself differently. I could, for whatever reason, they'd give me more attention because I'd looked the part and, had a, my journal, got a Hugo Boss, just whatever it was, the little tweaks of planting them seeds of, he's got a Hugo Boss satchel here, he's wearing a crisp white shirt. Maybe I conducted myself different because I was in that brand. And it was just the momentum of, maybe it's the walking in the shoes of the person you want to be, not the person. What is it? The dress for the job you want, not just the job you have. And I think that's what vision boarding and that is. And that, obviously the structure of that, of setting that out of, that's who I want to be. And then, well, how does that look? He's not a fat, overweight guy who eats McDonald's. And it all... Have you ever seen that, the Conor McGregor thing where he's talking about when he had the loss and he was like, I said I wasn't going to eat that, I ate that. I said I was going to get up at that time, I didn't get up at that time. I said I was going to train at that time, I didn't train at that time. And it was little wins became a big loss. And you know yourself, don't you, when you're in that flow, it goes, it's the breadcrumbs again. So I'm two-time winner for Soak for the Year. I've won winner for Soak for the Year the last 2 years. Steve, I can't even believe what I say this. I will. So the first time I was nominated, I was just in the running. It was in Manchester that year. Weren't really even asked. I thought it's not going to win me customers or whatever. Being in the room when your name's there and you're amongst the winners, I fucking want to win now. Previously when I didn't, but when I was in the room and it was like my name was on the board and then it didn't win that particular year, I was like, I fucking want to win this now, next year. So the next year I was like, I want to win it. So the week leading up to the awards, I would put my whistle and my dicky bow and suit on in the morning and practice a speech in the mirror every day for a week.
It felt like
feeling what it's going to win like to win this award.
Yeah, get that.
Went to the award ceremony, big do, in London, and I won North. Went for the North, so I was like, job's done. I'm happy with that. But then I didn't realise that when you won your region, you got called onto the stage for the winner. So I remember thinking, I had done a speech and it was quite a good. And so when I was getting called to go on the stage, I remember getting a speech out to make sure I had it. And there's a video of me, you can hear someone going, he's got a speech. You're like, who do you think he is? And I got to the stage and it stood there and there was the four of us. And I was like I remember thinking, right, well, that crisp white shirt guy, what would he act? What would he dress? How would he be stood type of thing now? Felt like a bit of an imposter or whatever. And I was like, no, what would he do? And I was like, on like X Factor and stuff, they always can shake their hands with the other people, the losers or So I just turned to the girl and left me and went, I'm Wes. She was like from the northeast and she went, yeah, I know who you are, mate. And it was like the Matrix thing of like, I know I'm meant to be here right now. I know I'm going to win this. Not because she knew I was blowing smoke, but it was like, this is where I'm meant to be right now in my life. And when she said, and the winner is, and I just said my name, Wesley Simpson, and I just knew. But yeah, I think it's just having that vision, isn't it, and then doing something about it. I'm not saying me.
I just wonder what that vision was now, because if I said to you, right, okay, Wes, is your vision? If I'd said to you, right, okay, what do you want to be known for? Let's not do vision because it's a bit too.
Yeah.
Do you want to be known for a wedding photographer, or do you want to be known as a business coach?
I just want to. the honest answer to that is, when you leave, whenever it is, you leave this place, that I made a contribution in some small way. I made a difference because I was here. Mm-hmm. Life was better for somebody or people because I was here. And I did get that from, because when people said I was mental, people thought I was mad to go from the TV world to do weddings. But I felt like I'm contributing. I know it's only maybe but it's their biggest day of their life. And if I do a good job, they're showing their kids and grandchildren something I've made and created. We created together. I believe the best pictures to take is when I believe we're a team, and I'm just snapping away. But there is something in them. Someone said a while ago, "Oh, you're an empath," and I didn't know. I thought an empath was like a goth or a Gen Z. I was like, I'm not an empath. And then I watched some documentary with Alanis Morissette. And first I was like, I'm not an empath, and then at the end I was like, maybe I am. But I just think I'm good with energies, and for 20 years, 2 decades, I've looked through a lens at people, a magnifying glass, so I can read body language and energies, and I don't even know if it comes from being an only child, of being by myself and watching people quite a lot. I've always been a people watcher, and it is quite fulfilling when I do a good wedding, and I know they've connected and they appreciate I've captured that moment. And when on Facebook or whatever they see Father's Day and they're sharing pictures that I've took, it's like, wow, I've contributed to somebody's life in an impactful way. And I think it's doing that on maybe a deeper or personal level outside of photography is the answer. And I don't know where or how that is, but it's the fact I'm here now, and I know it's coming, it's there. And also, I've been lost, haven't I? But the thing with, when you're right about just doing it, because when my mum said that about being stagnant, she went, when I got that camera, and you didn't know, she went, if you would have been overthinking it like you do now, you wouldn't have got that camera on tick, you'd still be thinking about it, persuading me, or saving up for the deposit for it. You just went and done it. And I did a few, I think what it is, before you fall off your bike, you feel it, aren't you? And you fall off your bike a couple of times and you think, I need to go a bit more cautious. But before you fell off your bike, but we've all got that inside us, because you learn to walk, Tim. I learned to walk. You fell on your ass a few times. But then eventually you thought, I need to hold onto the couch and navigate. You figured out how to walk. You just didn't give up. Otherwise, you'd still be shuffling around on your ass. There was something inside of you and inside of me that was like, I can do this. And everybody's got that in them. We all learn to walk. We just forgot we've got that skill, and we overthink it and sit on our ass a bit too long.
I'm excited for you, mate. I'm excited what this next stage is going to be for you. Whatever that's going to be, it's going to present itself.
It's not teaching photography, because I don't want to teach other people how to take pictures. That doesn't ignite me. But helping people be better versions of themselves and improve the business, and more than anybody, it's not about the logo, and it's what it represents, isn't it? And I love discussing that with people and finding out what makes them tick. And
you just need to turn the camera on yourself. Your granddad's giving you a camera to put it on you, not to shoot other people, And once you've built that, I already know that. You need to come to terms with it, and you need to sit in it, because it's. I think what you're going to teach people, mate, is very, very valuable. There's a lot of noise in this space.
Because I've told with that, because from the commercial point of view, I'm working some major multinational brands and stuff, and sometimes they would employ me for photography stuff, and I'd be like, well, wait, what are you doing with these images? I'm putting on this website or putting them on this. Well, that campaign's, just being in them room with them people and picking up some of these marketing agencies, clearly they're faking it and using the same tactics they used on that other. It's not bespoke to that individual or client. So you pick up some mad stuff along the way, and just you go with it. And it's weird, because I thought on the way, when you said the overthinking it was like, not people impressed by it. it's interesting, some of the celebrity stuff clanging, and like, how the fuck did you get in that situation? And, you know, but I'm glad the way the conversation's gone, it's been about me, my brand, my journey, rather than somebody else's, you know, thing. But some of the celebrity stuff is, you know, even like just be yourself, like the be yourself thing. You know what? From a celebrity point of view, what I learn from celebrities is a clanger of whether you like them or not. U2. I've done a documentary with U2 before the iTunes free CD. Yeah. I was on one of whatever their world tour was, and spent 2 weeks filming them. But on the first day of filming, everyone was like, "Don't look them in the eye, don't Bono in the eye," and you know, all stuff. And they walked in, so we cleared the room, limited people in the room. They walked in, and Bono come over. "Hey, I'm Bono. Nice to meet you." And I was like, "Yeah, I know you are. I am the Edge." And he was just like so down. It was like, why have people betrayed him as being, don't look them in the eye? He was just cool. Yeah. And one of the things I got out of that interview, he said there's 5 people in the band. There's us, the band, and our manager, and everything gets split equally. The manager doesn't get 20%, and we get whatever. It's a partnership. I remember filming that and going, wow, that's a secret of life, isn't it? Of being a team, and whether it's to do with money, but just respect, and the fact he come in and introduced himself, like he has a bit of an ego, doesn't he? But like people think he's got an ego, but when I actually met him, he didn't. But yeah, just the brand stuff interests me. Personal brand and how people operate, and why you buy that. You know, I'm into people. Well, people buy from people, I believe. We buy from people, and I think we buy from a product point of view. People buy internal products for external products for internal needs, and that fascinates me of how that works with people and brands.
I know where you're going.
You know,
I know where you're going.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know where you're going.
Oh, come on then.
I don't need to tell you. You're gonna find out yourself. If I tell you what it is right now, I'm not using this as luck, but that girl who had the crack, she's not ready for you to tell her. Right. If I tell you, you're not ready for me to tell you. Right. But you will go that way. 1,000,000%, mate, because it's within you. It's your personal brand. Everything that's been leading up to it is this. Yeah. 100% no, mate, and it's just going to go that way for you. And it's amazing knowing that loads of people are going to come and see you and get advice from you, because that's what you're really good at doing, is giving really good sound advice. Yeah. And you're going to get paid for that and change people's lives in the meantime.
Yeah, that question I had with my brother the other day about that, he didn't even realise that was something I'd invented. I didn't think I was. And he was like, "You have been a role model for me," and that felt good, you know. And he was the one who said 2 years ago.
Then why can't you just be a role model for other people?
Yeah, he's the one who was encouraging me. He said 2 years ago, "You need to start doing this as a thing."
You're on the path, mate.
You just pay attention to the signs, isn't it? Mate.
Exciting, mate. Honestly, I'm really excited for you.
Good.
Really excited for you.
Thank you. It's I feel quite intense speaking. It's like It's weird because I think we connected over, like, you know, some fellas aren't. I don't know if is it the feminine or the masculine side of it. I think some fellas think tuning into like frequencies and talking like that is like a bit feminine, but it's not. It just is, isn't it? It's just energy. It's just. Don't ignore it. It's just, you're probably happier and stronger if you identify and go with it. And, you know, and again, maybe it goes back to that, you know, that the breadcrumbs thing of that American thing of saying have a nice day and just being a nice, you know what? It's like, I don't know if even that's the law of karma or whatever, of just be a nice guy and don't be a dick and rip people off. Because like, it comes back, doesn't it? You know, like 5 years later, you're in you're on a cinema with your kids, and that guy you ripped off or you've done a shady deal with is in there, and you're not being able to enjoy the night because you were a dick, and whatever relationships, you're being a cheat or a liar, whatever. Just you know what I call it. One of them, I said this the other day to one of my mates, he went, "Wow, that's." I remember he stopped him in his tracks. It's Sesame Street values. Remember Sesame Street?
Yeah.
Sesame Street value, what they taught you was be a nice person.
Do the right thing and keep your side of the street clean.
Yeah. What was Mother Teresa? If everyone swept their own doorstep, the world would be clean. You know.
That's how I try and live my life, by just doing the right thing and keeping my side of the street clean. Yeah. Knowing that I've always done the right thing and being fair and stuff like that.
That's it. You know, when you see all these trolls, you can just when you've been on this type of journey and you've done the work, you can identify why trolls, because they're unhappy with their own life. David Beckham, Michael Jordan, whoever you want, successful guys, aren't trolling people because they're too busy being successful and on their own path and sitting there, I'm going to tell that person what he's doing wrong. Or it's just you stay on your own path and, you know, try and lift people up when they fall down and encourage people. And in, you know, the creative industry, man, people are so afraid to share their ideas and, you know, not have that community thing. Like, what is that person really going to... He's even his own... if I shared that idea, he's going to... You know, like, taking pictures, I'm not telling people how to take this picture. Why? Tell somebody that they might try. We all steal from bits anyway, don't we? You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, Oasis stole from the Beatles stole from Little Richard or whatever. I don't know you know what I mean? But, you know, it's influence, isn't it? Share your ideas and it comes back anyway. Life's an emotional boomerang, isn't it? Share your passion, your ideas, and you know. But that kind of breadcrumbs again, it's being able to just put your head on your pillow at night and knowing you've got integrity, and you know. And it's weird, isn't it? Because sometimes I get mixed up with this. You know, the local drug dealer or whatever dies and he has a massive funeral, doesn't he? But then the good guy around the corner dies and he had 5 people at his funeral. You think, what's that about? That confuses me sometimes. Which I don't know what fear. I don't know. Yeah, that's a different conversation. I don't even know where I'm going with that one.
So, should we send people to? I don't even want you to get any more work, to be honest, because I want you to go on this other path. So I'm like, shall I send... If somebody wants to get some photography from you, where did they go?
So, my website, WesleySimpsonWeddings.com, my Instagram, my next wedding. So, again, law of attraction. I've done a lot of nice destinations. I've always loved travel. Again, went to America when I was, you know, cruise ships and stuff like that. So I've always loved just events, you know. It's funny that I was stagnant because when I was a kid, we used to have a haunted house near us. Like, it was an old farmhouse, and apparently the folklore was the guy shot himself and his wife and kids. I don't know if it was true, but that was and we'd go and everyone would be scared to go in. I'd always be the first to go through the door. And I've lost that, you know, like that.
Yeah, childlike.
Go. Yeah. Just go, like, go and find out, unless you've got a story to tell and you'll know the answer. And I lost that, and I started doing some of this stuff, and they were doing these like beach meditations on Crosby Beach and stuff. Yeah. I was like, oh, it's a bit woo-woo, isn't it? I was like, I nearly never went, and I was like, but if I go, when I get up tomorrow, I'll have an informed decision if it was for me and if they were, you know, what cosmic scousers on the beach, and at least I'll have an opinion rather than just judging it from my sofa. Yeah. And I went and let my guard down. I had a great time, and I think it's that, you know, like, it's that my mum said, you were fearless when you used to go and do stuff. You bought that camera, didn't have a wedding, just got out and take, and, you know, I did some crazy weddings of celebrities, and I remember there was famous hairdressers, one of the ones that has his own products, doing a wedding at his estate in, like, Kent or somewhere. I was getting changed in the woods before, I went, you know, like, now it'd be like, need to have an hotel and get, you know, like, just overthinking it, just go and do it. But lost my train of thought then. What was I saying?
I was just sending people to you where we can come and
find. No, I'm saying yes. I'm still weddings. The helping other people and brands has just been something I've been identifying with other small businesses, and I've just been doing it, and the feedback, people are just like, every time I do it, helps someone, like a website review, like, and then it ends up being a bit more like, what are they doing with their personal life, and is it tying in with where they're going? And everyone's just like, that's what you should be doing. But my next wedding is in Santorini, and that's a place that's always eluded me. I've done some nice destinations, and the last wedding I photographed, you know, when in terms of a brand, when it's just, you just know they're the right fit to the right customer, and sometimes it's just not. And I'd be interested to get you're taking this from a brand point of view, right? So I was like thinking that, I believe you should evolve your brand anyway every so often and stuff. And I got when you go and do a marketing course or whatever, it's always the avatar of it's just the surface level stuff, living all the edge, to drive a Range Rover or whatever. And what I said when it was the Christian Louboutin bride. So recently I was like, what is my ideal customer for the weddings? And I was like, my ideal customer is my best customer. The ones that you enjoy, work, that light me up, and connect the dots. Like sometimes I'll come home on the way and I'll go to McDonald's and I know I haven't had a good day because I need that shitty food to fill me up. Then there's others where I can't wait to get home and start sharing pictures and like, I'm the same person, what goes on here? And then I was like, they feed me, right? I know this sounds mad. I get an email sometimes, do we have to feed you? And I get it, it might be 100 quid a head or whatever and no you don't, I'll take some food anyway. But then there's others go, we hope you like burgers or bar food, or we hope you like this, we've sorted you out, and when I get there in the morning, there's bacon butty for you, and you feel a part of the team because they value what you're doing. You feel a part of the team, and I was like, that's what it is. You're on the same frequency. It's whatever that is. It's that. I was like, but how do you market what or that is? And it's just being yourself. It's not being that fake person who's attracting a customer, and then you get there and it's just a position anyway.
It's like you're telling you to put the camera on yourself.
Yeah, just put the camera on yourself.
Be yourself, and then you attract the customers you want.
But yeah, I hadn't really been marketing. I was at a wedding the other week, and I knew in the morning. So things like the life coaching stuff and that. I look like a confident guy, big tall guy like yourself. I'm minus the tattoos, but you're probably a bit like me, a bit of an introvert, really. I need experience.
Yeah, massively.
And I think that's why I can feel a connection. So I have to do things before I go in the morning. It's quite daunting. I'm the only I don't know anybody. There's 100 people. They all know each other, and I have to put a hat on and be a professional and get things out of people. When they're a bit flat, and how do I do that? And I do things like jump up and down before I go in and play AC/DC in the car before it. Yeah. And I need to bring that energy when I first arrive. So this is what I'm playing at.
Yeah.
And are you playing at this? And sometimes it falls flat, and in the morning I go, I know this is going to be a flat wedding. But if you throw the boomerang and it comes back, And sometimes it's like throwing a dog after a bit. The dog's not going to go and get that stick, so you give up. And I do them little tricks of breath work in the morning before I go in sometimes, and a lot of the time, to get myself in, because photographing a wedding, man, people don't realise you've got your own shit sometimes. When you're a single guy or a single person, going to a wedding is done. Like, everyone's enjoying themselves and you've got no one to dance with, and back to the dancing thing. Yeah. So sometimes you've got your own shit going on. Going photographing a wedding, you've got to park it at the door. You can't bring that to somebody's big day. It's, how do you, there's little tricks and things how you get around that. But the documentary stuff, went full circle in the beginning, very fashion orientated, wasn't I? My strength is definitely capturing, them emotional moments. And now, because I've done it that much, it is a bit like the Matrix sometimes. I used to take maybe 5,000 pictures, now I'll take 1,000 because I'm better at nailing that. I've seen it before and know if I just hold on, feel the room, I know the dad's going to maybe cry in a minute, so I can capture it. So I don't know if I am an empath or it's just I've been there enough, but I think you have got to be tuned into, and that's the spirituality. It is spirituality, and maybe, as you said, helping other people and brands of tuning in, like what you've just done. You've dragged some stuff out of me there that maybe counselling or whatever just doesn't do. You've just got to be on the same page, in the same room with people, haven't you? You just got to be there, haven't you?
Appreciate it, Wes.
No, man.
Appreciate being, brother.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very, very much. And thank you for listening, everybody. Goodbye.
Tim Marner, what, you're branding with the best. Tim Marner, what, you're branding with the best. Tim Marner, what, you're branding